Hello there and welcome to Breakfast All Day. So we're going to start our reviews now, kind of a special thing we have. I'm Christy and I got my special awesome friend Katie Walsh here to talk about the new James Bond movie, No Time to Die. Our good friends Alonzo and Matt will be along later on again, and they've not seen it, but I couldn't imagine letting this movie open without talking about it. So Katie's here from Tribune News Service. Hello, Katie.
Hi, Christy. Thanks for having me.
It's so good to see you.
So good to see you.
So I don't know, have you been on Breakfast All Day with us? I know you were on What the Flick a few times with us.
I have not. I think this is my debut on Breakfast All Day.
I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled.
I know.
And I've had the pleasure of actually seeing you and giving you a proper hug in person at a couple of screenings recently.
Yes.
So, and hopefully again soon. So I took Nick to see No Time to Die last night in an actual theater. Our friend Glenn Whipp from the LA Times joined us. So we all hung out together. That was nice. But please tell us, as best you can, without spoiling, what is this 25th Bond movie about?
Yeah, so it's Daniel Craig's final outing as Bond. It's his fifth Bond film. And so we pick up with him and his love, Madeline Swan, played by Leah Seydoux, who was in the last Bond film. And they are together. They're sort of starting their lives. And then there's obviously things go down. And he sort of perceives that he's been betrayed. The organization Spectre has made themselves known again, and Blofeld, who is played by Christoph Waltz, has sort of wormed his way back into his life again. So we actually do pick up about 5 years after that. He's sort of in retirement, yada, yada, yada. He's living in Jamaica, and he's like, I'm out of the game. I'm not doing this anymore. Of course, MI6 brings him back for one last gig. And also Felix Leiter, played by Jeffrey Wright, they also are trying to get him to come back. There's been a sort of biological weapon that is DNA based that has been stolen from a lab. And, we got to go get the weapon. We got to go get the thing. It's going to, end the world. And, he hops, skips, and jumps all around the world. He has a fun little outing with Ana de Armas. Lashana Lynch comes in as this hotshot new MI6 agent. I'm absolutely obsessed with her. And, and then, but it actually comes to this place of real emotion and real sort of like a grounded kind of, it's not just fun, you get all the fun and the excitement, but then it does end up coming to this real place of, grounded, real emotion, and it's definitely his send off and his swan song, if you will, with Madeline Swan.
Yeah, it has to wrap up the whole Daniel Craig arc, right?
Yeah,
and yet it has to also be like a greatest hits of all the Bond stuff that and love. So like he's got to order the drink, he's got to drive the car, he's got to wear the tux, you've got to hit all those beats, and it's totally perfunctory at this point. But Daniel Craig's my favorite Bond. I don't know how you feel about Daniel Craig.
I think he's great.
Yeah, I do too, because he's a couple things going on at the same time here. He's given the opportunity to show an evolution with this character in a way that previous actors have not, in a way that like Roger Moore, for example, never did. Sean Connery never did. But he's also really up for that challenge in a way that previous actors playing Bond weren't. Like he's got the more serious, dramatic acting chops. No offense, Pierce Brosnan, I think, but like Daniel Craig's got that depth and that brooding that I love about him, is that he can show vulnerability. Yeah. He can fall in love. The specter, if you will, of Vesper Lynd hangs over his whole arc and over this whole movie. But the fact that he will allow himself to fall in love is it's kind of revolutionary for Bond. I love Skyfall. Nothing can touch Skyfall for me. I just went and I took Nick to see Skyfall over the weekend. They were showing Skyfall and Casino Royale in AMC theaters.
Oh, fun. I should have done that.
So I'm like, if you can see Skyfall in the theater, you totally should. And this is beautiful too in a lot of the ways. Cary Fukunaga directed this, but like he stole Damien Chazelle's cinematographer and editor, right? So you've got Linus Sandgren shooting this, you've got Tom Cross editing it. There's one incredible match cut early on where, because the beginning of it's a flashback involving Leia Seydoux's character as a little girl. And there's a scene where she emerges from this she's being pulled out of this icy lake. And right then she emerges from a lake in Italy at the same moment. And it's like, nicely done.
Yeah, it's a beautifully shot film. I just kept thinking, oh my God, this is so stunning. Like some of the colors and vistas and everything were so beautifully shot. And I actually heard that, and I thought a lot of the action sequences were really good. And I heard that Fukunaga didn't have a ton of time to like plan out all of these stunts and action sequences. I think he was kind of like winging it. And some of them are really impressive. I really liked the sequence in the Italian village sort of early on. I thought the stunts in that were amazing. And so he does a really good job. And of course, like you said, like they play all the hits and that's what you want from a Bond film. And I was like, yeah, I want to see all the things. Give me the things. I want to see the fun sequence with the cool Bond girl. I want to see, and Ana de Armas is like, so disarmingly charming. I also like adored Lashana Lynch. I thought she was so cool, so badass, so just like this great foil for Bond. And I just thought she was amazing. And I loved, you know, her presence and like the energy that she brought to it. So, you know, as much as it is this sort of like serious, dramatic story that Daniel Craig obviously has the chops to carry, it's super fun too. And it's like got all of these like, you know, fun little lines, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge was one of the co-writers of the script. And I totally felt like I could feel her influence on like some of the little sassy one-liners. And it's like, you know, they like, it's kind of like they just throw it all at you. I mean, this is a 2-hour and 45-minute movie. So and so they're like, we're giving you everything. We're giving you exotic locations. We're giving you everything you want. We're giving you, you know, this like serious love story. We're giving you this whole send off. We've got another spy. We've got all of these things. And so it's like definitely throwing a lot at the screen, but I think they pull it off.
It felt very long to me. It does
feel long, yeah.
At the end, like it drags out everything that happens with Rami Malek at the end of the film feels really long. Like at one point, Glenn leaned over to me and he's like, there's a half an hour left of this movie. I'm like, yep, we've been here for a while. So yeah, I was going to mention, I'm so glad you mentioned Phoebe Waller-Bridge because you definitely feel her influence throughout the script in a lot of the quips, like the deadpan, dry British quips, like observational stuff, but also in the fact that you have, as you mentioned, really strong, cool, funny, badass women in both Lashana Lynch and Ana de Armas. I love what they've done with Ana de Armas because her character, who is this Cuban spy, she's not your typical Bond girl, right? She's not sexy and sultry and seductive.
She's not she's elegant. Fatale.
She's beautiful and elegant, but there's like this effervescent kind of giddy enthusiasm about her that's infectious because it's her character's first mission. And she's like, I've had 3 whole weeks of training. And she brought to it, isn't she playing Marilyn Monroe?
Yes. And I saw someone tweet, she's going to kill Marilyn Monroe because her bubbly, cute, like really disarming energy is like dead on Marilyn. I cannot wait to see that movie. They need to release it. Yeah.
I thought the same thing because when she was first cast as Marilyn Monroe, I'm like, really? That's an interesting choice. But then you see her here and she has that perfect balance of like the sweet and the sassy and like the cute and the sexy, and she can kick ass. She gets to kick ass in this dress that like, I don't know how it stayed on her body. Because it's held together with like dental floss on her, crisscrossing her back, and is deeply, deeply plunging. And like there's slits up the side, so she's got to kick and she's got to shoot. But like that's a great example of a fun action sequence. There's also a long, quote unquote, tracking shot. I mean, it looks like all one long take going up the stairs of this tower.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah,
and so that was pretty cool. I just feel like you got maybe one too many villains here. I'm not sure you need both Christoph Waltz and Rami Malek to be like kind of quietly muttering and like facially disfigured. They both feel kind of redundant to me.
Rami Malek was kind of a disappointment, just in terms of his character. That kind of I'm, sort of very stiff and talking about my father and I have an island lair. Like it felt like Roger Moore Bond or something, where Daniel Craig is like, I have to infiltrate the island lair and get the thing. And like, I'm like, oh, wait, are we watching Moonraker? Like, what is this? But so Rami Malek was like not super exciting to me. It didn't feel very modern. The more modern villain to me was the one played by Billy Magnussen, who I'm just obsessed with Billy Magnussen. But he's such a fun actor. And I just sort of felt like I was like, here's the really more interesting villain who's like someone who's connected to the government and like there's shadowy things happening in power structures rather than someone who's outside, who's, scheming and plotting their revenge. I don't know. I just sort of felt like that we could do something a little bit more challenging and contemporary with a villain rather than, the like weird, creepy Dr. Evil type.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Because what Rami Malek wants is an incredibly generic Bond villain goal, which he plans from like a Soviet era setting. And so maybe that's intentionally a throwback to like the roots of this franchise, but it does so in a way that's totally forgettable and does not distinguish itself at all. Like if you look at Skyfall, I'll just keep going back to how perfect Skyfall is. Like what Javier Bardem wants in Skyfall makes sense. And it's specific and it's reasonable. Like you see why he wants revenge on MI6. But like what Rami Malek wants, and I'm not going to spoil it, but what he wants is like incredibly generic world domination.
Yeah, I honestly, when you're saying what Rami Malek wants, I'm like, what does he want?
What does he want? And why?
And why? And like, it's just like, I saw this movie a week ago and I'm like, wait a second. Like, wait, what was his scheme? I don't know, just to like be bad. Like,
and not that matters. Cause I mean, again, this is like, it's a MacGuffin thing. What you're there for is the action of the adventure and like the gadgets. And, Ben Whishaw comes through with some cool gadgets. Did you notice that at one point, Daniel Craig had to say some incredibly cheesy, stupid pun? Like after a kill, there's like a bad pun. There's like a Roger Moore style pun, which again, I guess they're trying to get their arms around like everything.
Not that this
is the end of it. It's not, because at the end of the credits, it says, as it always says, James Bond will return. So no one's saying this is the end of Bond. It's just the end of Craig's arc. What do you think of the Billie Eilish song at the beginning?
I thought it was great. I mean, I like it better than the Sam Smith song. But no, I thought it was really good. I mean, great credit sequence. Like, I mean, it's all there. That's what you want from a Bond movie. And they really deliver, everything. And to the point where you're kind of like, I'm good. Like, I don't need any more. Like,
I kind of
the
agree.
Billie Eilish song was great. I actually hadn't heard it before. And I was sort of like, is she going to be able to pull off this kind of soaring ballad? Because her music to me is so, I mean, I'm not a Billie Eilish, like, a connoisseur, but, but, her music to me is a little bit more like chill, downgrade, and then, not downgrade, downbeat. Yeah. But she really does pull off that big soaring ballad kind of thing. So I enjoyed it.
I did too. And if you guys saw the Billie Eilish documentary that was on Apple TV Plus, I want to say, you see her recording that with Phineas. And so then to see it actually get played in the film is kind of cool, because it was like a dream of hers to do something like that. And you're right, there's like a sultriness about her, like a melancholy that is fitting to the franchise. It's not like, fingers. That's not a big number like that, but it fits the mood of what we're about here. Cool. So what would you give us on a scale of 1 to 10, Katie? What is your number on No Time to Die?
I think I'm at like a 7, 6.5, 7. I think I'm a 7. I really liked it. I also feel like I'm not super discerning about Bond movies. I'm like, hey, give me the thing that I want and it's good. Like, I really enjoyed Daniel Craig in the role. Like I said, they played all the hits. They give you everything you want. I thought Lashana Lynch and Anna de Armas were great. So I'm like, I enjoyed it. I don't need to sort of like nitpick the mythology. I'm just like, it's what I expected. They delivered what I wanted. So
cool. I would say 6.2. It's fun. I love Daniel Craig, but it's a little long.
It's not Skyfall.
It's not. Nothing is. But it's also really seriously, like a good solid 30, 40 minutes too long. So our number is a 6.6. No Time to Die is only out there in theaters. If you feel comfortable going to a theater, this is a great reason to do that. It is fantastically beautiful and should be seen. If not, I understand. But if you're feeling good, like go to like an 11 o'clock matinee in your neighborhood where there's like nobody around you.
It's
Katie,
definitely a big screen movie.
Yeah.
I think it's a big screen movie.
It was supposed to have come out a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's now. There's plenty of time to die because they pushed it for a whole year.
Right.
Katie, you're awesome. Thank you for joining us. Where can folks find you on Twitter?
My Twitter handle is Katie Walsh STX. So find me there.
Go find Katie. She gives a good tweet. And you guys are awesome. Thank you for joining us. Follow us on all the places at BeFast All Day on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Our Patreon is patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. This week we have the Ted Lasso season finale. We have the morning show. Later on this month, we're going to have our October Off the Menu movie, which is a horror movie that you guys are voting on for us. Currently, Raw is in the lead, but Audition's also in the mix. Yeah, Raw is awesome.
Both good choices.
Alonzo curates these things and he picks like really out there cool stuff. So good job, Alonzo. Thanks everybody. You're wonderful. Bye.
Bye.